Hi friends. So tonight, yes, we're going to do a foot washing in the home, which will be a little bit different, feel a little bit different, especially not being around crowds and especially if you don't have someone else's feet to wash. But actually, this is for you tonight, you who don't have someone else's feet to wash. Of course, we can wash one another's feet at home just as easily as we can in the church. But if you're there by yourself, like I'm here by myself, this can still be an act of love and servitude. So let's think about this for a second. If we were in the church, we would have two lines. And in one line, which would probably be the very short line because for some reason people don't like having their feet washed at church, I would be kneeling in front of you, and I would take the cloth and I would dip it in the water and I would wipe your feet with it, and then I would take the towel and I would dry your feet and put your feet right in my lap and I would dry your feet. And for those who don't like having their feet washed, you would be in the other line, the very long line that's going all the way out the door, probably with Pastor Paul standing there washing your hands. We would give you that option. And even tonight, you can do that too if you don't want to take your shoes off and you don't really want to put your feet in water tonight. You can wash your hands instead as that symbolic act of servanthood. Wash someone else's hands or wash your own. But the point tonight, as the Message Bible so very appropriately says, this is not about hygiene. This is about holiness. This is about remembering that Jesus is the living water. And so we have this water here, this living water that is Christ for us. And if you're lucky enough to have snagged a basin with a matching pitcher like I did at a United Methodist Women yard sale, you can use this tonight. Or if you have a foot bath or even just a wet cloth, it will all work to remember this gift that Jesus gave even us, to say the living water is what matters. That act of servanthood that Jesus did for the disciples and calls us to do, we can do even for ourselves. If we believe that Christ is the living water, and I do, then this water can be Christ for us and is no less Christ for us if we are by ourselves. Then it would be Christ for us in a sanctuary full of people. This is the living water. So wash one another's feet, or maybe especially tonight with COVID changing how we do so many things in our lives. Wash your own feet. Have this be an act of love that you give to yourself, that you put your feet, fully immersing yourself in the living Christ. Make sure the water's not too hot, not too cold, but fully immersing your feet in the living Christ, in this water, and feeling that Christ is present with you, so you are not alone. Christ is with you. And as you wash your feet, as you do this act that Jesus did for the disciples and truly still does for us today, think of how you can do this for others and continue to do this for yourself. Because friends, in these days of being so isolated, loving ourselves has become more important than ever. Not a selfish kind of love, but that servanthood kind of love that Jesus modeled. that says we are not alone, that Christ is with us, and that we are in God as Christ was in God. That this is not a time of us being completely and totally abandoned and alone. We have the living water. So the foot washing tonight becomes very, very important for all of us who have struggled with the solitude, struggled with the disconnect during COVID. Even though we're starting to gather again, even though people are getting out more, some of us still feel a little unsure of how to plug back into society. Well, here's one way. Through the living Christ, through the living water, through Jesus, who is servant to all, and who teaches us to love others as we love ourselves. So friends, in this act of foot washing, however many people you have around you, or however many people are tuning in with you to tonight's worship service, know that you are not alone. Know that Christ is with you. And know that the holiness that we have through Christ is something nothing, not even a pandemic, can take away. And the people of God said, Amen.